in buildings. In this video, you will learn to use some additional options in E-tabs. This is the plan and 3D view of the building model you are going to make. It is a G+7 building, having shear walls inside, and brick masonry walls on its exterior part. The beams and columns are having a section of 350 mm by 350 mm each, while those are 150 mm thick. The internal shear wall is 300 mm thick, and the external brick wall is 230 mm thick. The beams, columns, slabs and shear walls are of reinforced concrete material, having concrete grade M35, and rebar grades HYSD 415, and mild 250. Open the E-tab software. Go to File, and select New Model. Keep built-in settings similar to what you have set previously, as shown, and then click on OK. Set the number of grid lines in X direction as 5, and in Y direction as 4. Since the spacing is not uniform, select the Custom Grid Spacing option, and click on the Edit Grid Date option. As discussed earlier, select the Display Grid Data as Spacing option, to avoid confusion. In the spacing options, enter the spacing values of the X direction, that is 4, 3, 3, 4, and 0, as shown. Similarly, enter the spacing values, 4, 5, 4 and 0 in the Y grid data. Make sure to press Enter, after writing each value. Click on OK, and the horizontal grid spacing values are now recorded. Now go to the Story Dimensions option. The building is G+7, which means 8 stories. Enter the value 8, in the Number of Stories option. Each story has a uniform height of 3 meters, so enter the value 3 in both typical and bottom story height. Select the Grid Only option, and click on OK. The grid of the required Now, you will define the materials for the elements. Go to Define, and click on Material Properties. Click Add New Material. And define the M35 concrete, by selecting the suitable options as you had done previously. Click on OK, and then click on OK again. To define the rebar material, again click on Add New Material. Change the material type, and set the grade to HYSD 415. Click on OK twice. Similarly, define the mild 250 grade, from the rebar option, in Add New Material. The three materials, M35, HYSD 415, and mild grade 250 are defined. In this model, there is a fourth building material, that is the brick masonry, of the exterior walls of the building. So click on Add New Material, and change the material type to masonry, from the drop-down list. Click on OK. The properties of the masonry material are displayed. Click on OK to exit. Now all the 4 materials required are defined. Click on OK to exit the Define Materials dialog box. After defining the materials, you have to define the section properties. Go to Define, Section Properties, and click on Frame Sections. Select Add New Property, and select the Concrete Rectangular option, from the shapes that are shown. Write a name for the beam. Change the material to M35. And change the depth and width values to 350 each. To set the reinforcement options, click on Modify/Show Rebar. Here, change the design type to M3 Design Only. Change the longitudinal bars to HYSD 415, and confinement bars to mild 250. Change the cover values to 25 mm, in both top and bottom bars. Click on OK. The beam, with the required properties has been defined. Click on OK, to exit. Similarly, click on Add New Property to define the column section of 350 by 350 dimensions. Select the rectangular concrete option. Give a name to the section and change the material and the section dimensions. Then click on Modify/Show Rebar and set the design type to P, M2, M3. Change the longitudinal bars to HYSD 415 and confinement bars to mild 250. Verify that the clear cover is set to 40 mm, and click on OK. The properties of the column section are defined. Click on OK to exit. The two frame sections, that is the beam and column, are defined. Click on OK to exit the frame sections box. Now the third element that you have to define is the slab. Go to Define, Section Properties, and click on Slab Sections. Select Add New Property. Give a suitable name. Change the slab material to M35 and the thickness to 150 mm. Click on OK, and the slab has been defined. Select OK to exit the Slab Sections box. Now you have two more walls left to define, which are the internal shear walls and the external masonry walls. Go to Define, Section Properties, and select Wall Sections. Select Add New Property. Here, give a name to identify the brick wall. Change the wall material to masonry from the drop-down list. Change the thickness to 230 mm, and click on OK. The brick masonry wall is defined. You need to define one more wall, that is the shear wall of M35 concrete. Click on Add New Property again. Give a name to identify the shear wall. Change the wall material to M35 and change the thickness to 300 mm. Click on OK. Both the shear wall and the brick wall has been defined. Click on OK to exit the Wall Sections box. Now, sections of all the 5 different elements required, the beam, column, slab, brick wall, and shear wall, are defined. In the next video, you will learn to draw these curved elements that you have defined. Thanks for watching.